since I found out the news. And this Ace dropped the diss track that y'all spamming me like crazy with. I saw Ace when it was posted for 3 minutes. 3 minutes!
From viral graveyard videos
it's called Do It.
From social media mockery.
Dropped the same day Foolio died. That is crazy. This reminds me of Vaughn. When Duck died, Vaughn dropped the video same day. Called all these niggas. That's tough. That's tough. Y'all need God. Y'all need God. What is wrong with you niggas? Do y'all, all y'all remember this back and forth, the Who I Smoke and the When I See You, Fantasia remix from Foolio? Foolio was at the grave with the news report pictures, like trolling him for dying, for killing Ace's brother on his birthday and his 2 homeboys while they was trying to go out to eat. They caught Bro lacking the same way.
It wasn't emotional.
Ace got every right.
People are still in denial because the IG of Julio Foolios is still posting subliminal messages as if he's still here, right? And behind that whole thing is that it's for promo, all right? That's the reason that his IG is...
Now, the second we hear of a funeral getting shot up, the first thing that comes to mind is Wooski. In Chicago, when that funeral got hit up, that was major. That was, you know, and Wooski survived, but he never fully recovered, if that makes sense. To hear 129 shots went off at a funeral or a repass, whatever, it just shows you how far people are willing to take things. If 5-6 was really out here spanking shit like they said he was, he put a lot of hate into people's hearts, to the point that they'll pull up to a funeral and fire off indiscriminately at whoever's there.
When JoJo gets killed, I remember Chief Keef went on Twitter and kind of like laughed at it and stuff like that. I remember you saying, oh, he tried to be us and now look at him or something.
Yeah.
How'd that make you feel when you saw that?
But Ace didn't stop there. His squad
Keith went, he wasn't really nobody like in the streets, so it ain't really making me feel no type of way. Yeah, he was a goofy in the streets.
You know, I remember after Chief Keef blew up, he moved out of Chicago. And you didn't really see him back until recently when he did that big concert.
Yeah.
And I personally think that was smart. I think if Keef had stayed in Chicago, I don't think he'd still be around. At the level that he was functioning, at the way he was dissing people and how hugely popular he was, I don't think he'd be around.
It ain't gonna never stop, sadly. It ain't gonna never stop. It don't matter what we do, what we say, what we try to protest, like, bro, it's not gonna stop. It's not. Too many people done died. Like I told y'all, man, y'all that's in the streets, get out, bro. It's no pension to that shit. It's no 401k. None of that. There's no retirement to the streets.
In these streets, there's one line you just don't cross. And that line has always been clear, until some people decided it wasn't. Funerals, graves, memorials, spaces that are supposed to be sacred, have become stages for disrespect, trolling, and even violence in the world of drill music. From viral graveyard videos to funeral shootouts, from social media mockery to premeditated insults at the memorial, this is disrespect at its absolute worst. And it's not just isolated incidents, it's a pattern that spans cities, crews, and years. Today, we're breaking down the wildest moments in drill funeral disrespect, the shocking stories behind them, and how these acts changed the game forever. Let's start with West Philly. Abdul Vix, known in the streets as YBC Dull, earned a nickname that matched his reputation, Mr. Disrespectful. And this wasn't just talk. In February 2024, Dull went viral for an act so calculated it left even the most hardened drill fans shook. He showed up at the grave of a rival, a dead op, with a shovel in hand, and filmed himself disturbing the grave. The footage wasn't chaotic, it wasn't emotional, it was cold, methodical, almost like he was creating content for the world to witness. His whole squad laughed, filming every second, and Dull didn't hide it. He bragged about every detail. But karma has a way of catching up. Just months later, in August 2024, Dull was killed in a drive-by, multiple shots to the chest. He was only 25. The man who built his entire reputation on disrespecting the dead became another victim of the endless cycle of street violence. And that's a pattern we'll see again and again. The more outrageous the disrespect, the higher the risk of retaliation. Over in Jacksonville, Florida, another story shocked the drill world. Union Ace and Julio Fulio weren't just feuding. They were in one of the deadliest rivalries drill had ever seen. The beef stretched back to 2017, with gang killings already claiming lives on both sides. Ace himself had survived a drive-by in 2018 that left him shot 8 times, so the stakes were already high. When Julio Fulio was killed on his 26th birthday in June 2024, most people expected mourning, not Ace. Within hours, he dropped a diss track called Do It, mocking his dead rival before the funeral even took place. But Ace didn't stop there. His squad started trolling Fulio's funeral on social media, posting memes about doves and clowning images from the service. Imagine grieving families, crying at the funeral, while the opposition is publicly mocking the moment. It was one of the most brutal examples of premeditated disrespect in drill history, showing that in the social media era, death isn't just tragedy, it's content. Sometimes disrespect doesn't need a video or a song. One image can speak louder than any diss track. FBG Cash, a member of the FBG crew in Chicago, proved this in February 2022. Just months after King Van, a Chicago rapper, was killed, Cash pulled up to Van's memorial mural, flipped the middle finger, and posted the photo online with the caption, "Whole world witnessed, yo main sniper get his splack." The image went viral instantly. It wasn't just a flex, it was a provocation. Cash kept clowns going with tracks like Back Again 2X, openly disrespecting the deceased and even dragging Dirk's dead brother into the mix. The social media amplification created a feedback loop. The disrespect fueled engagement, which in turn fueled more disrespect. Just months later, Cash was killed in Chicago, showing once again how one bold act of disrespect can ripple through the streets with deadly consequences. In the Bronx, the disrespect reached an entirely new level. Drill rapper J5, part of the Sweeper crew, didn't just diss 1 or 2 rivals, he went after over 50 dead ops on camera, standing right at their graves. His videos went viral, sparking debates online about how far drill culture had fallen. Walking through cemeteries, pointing at headstones, mocking the deceased, J5's footage was like a guided tour of disrespect, turning tragedy into content. And it worked. Fans watched, critics shook their heads, and social media engagement skyrocketed. For J5, now there were no lines left to cross. Every headstone was another opportunity for a flex, another opportunity to assert dominance. In the world of Bronx drill, the dead were just as valuable for content as the living. None of this would exist without Chicago's legends. Back in 2012, Chief Keef and Lil Jojo's beef set the template for everything that followed. Jojo dropped a track directly dissing Keef, and just hours after Jojo was killed in a drive-by, Keef hopped on Twitter and laughed about it publicly. That act alone redefined disrespect in drill culture. Shots were allegedly fired outside Jojo's funeral, signaling that the conflict didn't end with his death. From that point forward, public trolling, funeral disrespect, and social media provocation became standard tools in drill beefs. But Keef's moves taught the next generation that disrespect could be weaponized long after someone's gone. Detroit and NYC escalated the trend further. Dion 56 Davis, a 700 gang member in Detroit, was killed, and his funeral repast turned into a Wild West shootout. 129 shell casings recovered, multiple people shot, 5 nearby homes hit. Later, Lil Mello, another 700 member, was shot while driving but survived. Funerals became deadly events, a place where rival crews publicly showed their power. Meanwhile, in the Bronx, the streets were witnessing yet another shocking chapter in the world of drill music. Jaquan McKinley, an up-and-coming rapper who went by TIWVTTZ, was tragically murdered outside a recording studio in February 2022. What makes this case especially chilling isn't just the death itself, but what followed immediately after. And instead of private mourning or quiet remembrance, rival rappers and gang affiliates turned his death into a spectacle. Social media exploded with posts, videos, and stories mocking McKinley's demise. One caption that went viral read, "And another one bites the dust." The celebratory nature of these posts, coupled with the speed at which they circulated online, turned a violent tragedy into a kind of public entertainment. This wasn't an isolated incident. It was part of a larger, troubling pattern where social media and street violence feed off each other in an almost unbroken loop. In drill culture, death doesn't automatically mean an end to conflict. It often signals the start of the next wave of provocation. Each post, each diss video, and each memorial disrespect adds fuel to the fire. In the case of CIWVTTZ, where what might have been a moment of reflection became a content opportunity, and that content, in turn, escalated tensions in the Bronx, drawing more attention to rival crews and inflaming existing rivalries. Even city leadership began to take notice. NYC's Mayor Eric Adams publicly called out drill music as a significant factor exacerbating gang violence, highlighting the real-world consequences of online provocations and viral content that glorifies or celebrates murder. Looking at the bigger picture, a clear pattern emerges. YBC Dull, with his infamous grave-digging video, ended up dead after shocking the streets with his premeditated disrespect. U9 Ace, who dropped a diss track mere hours after Julio Fulio's death, showed just how fast social media can amplify disrespect and escalate conflict. Def BG Cash demonstrated the power of a single provocative image, while J5 in the Bronx pushed the boundaries further by systematically mocking dozens of deceased rivals on camera. And all of this traces back to the blueprint laid down by Chicago legends King Von and Lil Jojo, whose actions in the early 2000s normalized public funeral disrespect and online trolling as tools of gang rivalry. What becomes painfully clear is the human cost of this cycle. For families, it's devastating. They are forced to navigate grief in an environment where mourning is weaponized, where private tragedy becomes public spectacle, and where every post online can spark retaliation. For crews, it's content, digital proof of power, dominance, and influence over rivals. For viewers, it's shocking, addictive, and terrifying all at once, and creating a morbid fascination that keeps the stories circulating, keeps engagement high, and keeps the culture locked in a loop of escalating disrespect and violence. Every incident reinforces a sobering truth. In drill culture, no space is safe. Not the streets, not studios, not even funerals. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this chaos? Funeral disrespect in drill music isn't just a series of isolated, shocking moments. It's a lens into a culture where lines of respect and morality are constantly tested, broken, and rewritten. It's a cycle that claims lives, fuels online content, and leaves families and communities trapped in its wake, with consequences that ripple far beyond the headlines. Until this cycle is interrupted, the spectacle of violence and disrespect will continue, serving as both a warning and a grim reflection of a culture where tragedy and entertainment have become dangerously intertwined. Maybe one day, funerals will return to being sacred spaces. Maybe one day, these streets will shift from celebration of disrespect to reflection and peace. But until then, these stories serve as a stark reminder. In drill music, disrespect doesn't die with the dead. It thrives on social media, fuels engagement, and continues the cycle of violence. If you want to see more stories like this, dive deeper into the world of drill, or witness how the streets keep reshaping music and culture, click on one of the videos on your screen. There's more to uncover, more to learn, and more to shock you than you could ever imagine.